Ransomware gangs break into companies, steal their data, and hold it hostage. You've heard that story 100 times. But what happens when a ransomware gang does that to another ransomware gang? That's exactly what just happened. Two cybercriminal organizations, KRYBIT and ZeroAPT, went to war with each other. They breached each other's infrastructure, defaced each other's leak sites, and dumped each other's internal operations on the open internet. And while they were busy fighting, one of them started hitting hospitals. So who are these groups? To understand the war, you need to understand the business model. KRYBIT showed up in March 2026 as a ransomware-as-a-service operation. They don't just hack companies themselves, they build the ransomware tools and rent them out to affiliates who do the actual attacks. Think of it like a franchise. KRYBIT provides the encryption malware, the payment infrastructure, and the leak site. The affiliates pick the targets and split the ransom. They're not small time either. KRYBIT's malware runs on Windows, Linux, VMware ESXi, and even NAS devices. That's a full menu. If your company runs on a server, KRYBIT has a version of their ransomware that can lock it. On the other side, you have ZeroAPT. They're a newer operation running their own leak site. That's the dark web page where ransomware gangs post stolen data to pressure victims into paying. Don't pay the ransom, your files go public. That's the business model. Both groups operate in the same criminal ecosystem. They compete for the same targets, the same affiliates, and the same reputation on underground forums. And in April 2026, that competition turned violent, digitally violent anyway. On April 13th, ZeroAPT did something nobody in the cybercriminal underground expected. They listed 3 other ransomware operations as victims on their own leak site: KRYBIT, Everest, and Ransom House. Not companies, not hospitals, not governments. Other ransomware gangs. Think about that. A cybercriminal group went to their public extortion page and said, "We hacked you," to other cybercriminals. It's like a cartel raiding another cartel's warehouse and posting the security footage on Instagram. ZeroAPT claimed to have breached the internal infrastructure of all 3 operations, obtained their operational data, and was threatening to publish it. Your operational data getting leaked means your affiliates are exposed, your communication channels are compromised, and law enforcement suddenly has a roadmap to your entire network. But KRYBIT didn't take it lying down. One day later, April 14th, KRYBIT struck back. They breached ZeroAPT's own infrastructure, defaced their leak site, and published ZeroAPT's internal files for the entire world to see. Configuration files, communication logs, affiliate details, the whole thing. In less than 48 hours, 2 ransomware operations had done to each other what they normally do to Fortune 500 companies. And all of it was playing out in public, on the open dark web, where security researchers could watch in real time. 2 criminal organizations tearing each other apart while the entire cybersecurity community grabbed popcorn. Ransomware gangs fighting each other isn't entirely new. There have been scams, payment disputes, the occasional snitch to law enforcement. But this is different. This is 2 organized operations publicly breaching each other's infrastructure and releasing operational data. That's never happened at this scale. The entire ransomware business model depends on secrecy. These groups survive by being invisible. The moment their internal operations are exposed, they become targets, not just for each other, but for law enforcement, intelligence agencies, and private security firms who've been hunting them for months. When KRYBIT dumped ZeroAPT's files, they didn't just hurt a competitor. They handed investigators a gold mine. Communication patterns, server configurations, affiliate identities, the kind of intelligence that normally takes months of undercover work to gather. KRYBIT essentially did the FBI's job for them, just to win a turf war. And the same is true in reverse. ZeroAPT's initial breach of KRYBIT exposed operational details that security researchers are still analyzing. Every piece of data that leaks makes it harder for both groups to operate. It's a mutually assured destruction scenario, and neither side seems to care. Here's where this stops being a darkly entertaining cybercriminal soap opera and starts being genuinely disturbing. While KRYBIT was busy going to war with ZeroAPT, they were also actively attacking real-world targets. In May 2026, KRYBIT listed Bomu Hospital in Kenya as a victim, a hospital, in a developing country. Their standard playbook: steal employee records, technical design files, and financial data. Then deploy the encryption and demand a ransom. When a hospital gets locked out of its systems, patients can't get treated, medical records disappear, equipment that depends on network access stops working, people can die. And KRYBIT is doing this while simultaneously fighting a turf war with another criminal group. They're not choosing between attacking hospitals and attacking competitors. They're doing both at the same time. These aren't Robin Hood hackers. They're indiscriminate predators. So what does a ransomware gang war actually mean for the rest of us? 3 things. First, the intelligence windfall. Every time these groups expose each other, defenders get new data. The security community is actively analyzing the leaked files from both KRYBIT and ZeroAPT. That data feeds into threat intelligence platforms, helps companies update their defenses, and gives law enforcement new leads. Ironically, criminals fighting criminals might be one of the most productive things to happen in ransomware defense this year. Second, the instability. When ransomware operations are at war, they become unpredictable. Affiliates jump ship, infrastructure gets compromised. Operations get sloppy, and sloppy operations mean more collateral damage. The hospitals, the small businesses, the school districts that get hit during this chaos, they're not strategic targets, they're just in the blast radius. Third, the evolution. This kind of inter-gang warfare could fundamentally change how ransomware-as-a-service works. If your provider's infrastructure can get breached by a competitor, why would you trust them with your operational security? We could see a shift toward more decentralized, harder to breach operations. Or consolidation, where the strongest groups absorb the weaker ones. Either way, the ransomware landscape in 2026 is mutating faster than anyone predicted. Ransomware gangs are now hacking each other, defacing each other's leak sites, and dumping each other's operational secrets on the internet, all while hitting hospitals in the background. If this sounds like the plot of a cybercrime thriller, that's because real life stopped making sense a while ago. If you learned something, hit subscribe. I cover cybersecurity and tech stories like this every single day. And if your org doesn't have a ransomware response plan yet, today's a good day to start. I'll see you in the next one.